So we have an update when it comes to the next special Impact Wrestling event, the next Impact Plus event, plus one match has already been announced for that event. So as you can see right there, as you probably saw on the thumbnail for this video, Impact Wrestling today has announced that No Surrender will be the next special event produced by Impact Wrestling. It will be airing on the Impact Plus platform. It will air on Saturday, February 13, the day before Valentine's Day, also the day before NXT TakeOver, which is interesting as well. Impact Wrestling is presenting No Surrender, the next must-see event exclusively on Impact Plus. Now this comes after the historic Hard to Kill pay-per-view, which is now in the rearview mirror, continuing the build to Rebellion, which of course is in April. So that was a big announcement earlier today. And I think a lot of people saw it coming. Once we had Hard to Kill on Saturday, that's the January pay-per-view, a lot of people were saying, right, we know that Rebellion is coming in April because Impact did the announcement that Rebellion was coming in April, but there's a lot of time there and there's a lot of things going on when it comes to Impact, whether it's Rich Swann and Moose, are they going to have their match for the Impact World Championship? Kenny Omega's going on hiatus back to AEW with Don Callis, but is he going to come back and compete at Rebellion? Is he going to face Rich Swann or Moose for that Impact World Championship? We obviously saw the AEW invasion of Impact Wrestling this past Tuesday. Tony Khan's appearing at ringside now. Jerry Lynn got involved in the number one contenders match. We saw Matt Hardy and Private Party. The Good Brothers are going back and forth. There is so much going on right now when it comes to Impact that I think the concern was, and certainly I had this concern as well, was can they really spread this out over the course of 4 months? Because of course we're in January now, we're getting towards the end of it, but we're still in January now, and obviously Rebellion takes place in April, so there was this concern of can they stretch it out this far? Do we have enough content here to stretch it out until April? That could be, not to say boring, but that could certainly cause an issue in terms of, look, nowadays people's attention span is much shorter, so that's probably part of the problem there. So I think most people expected we were going to get an Impact Plus event. We just didn't know when it was going to happen, what it was going to be, but today Impact Wrestling are striking while the iron is hot, as they would say, and we have an announcement that No Surrender is going to be taking place Saturday, February 13. As I mentioned, what is interesting about the date of this is that it does take place the day before NXT TakeOver. Nothing really nefarious, I don't think, about that. I don't think anyone's going to say, oh, they're trying to take people away from TakeOver. It's the following day. I don't really see anything in that, to be honest. If anything, as a pro wrestling thing, I think it's great. You know, we got a whole weekend of pro wrestling there. We're going to see two great shows. We're going to see No Surrender on Saturday, February 13, and we're going to see TakeOver on February 14. Two great promotions, two great shows, so I'm very much looking forward to that. So once they made that announcement today, obviously, like most people, like most fans of Impact Wrestling, then your mind starts going into fancy booker mode, as it was, as to say, okay, and No Surrender's on February 13. Let's have a look at the storylines. Let's have a look at the lay of the land right now when it comes to Impact, and what kind of matches can we expect to see at No Surrender on Saturday, February 13. And I was going to do a video, full transparency, I was going to do a video later today talking about the possible Impact World Championship match that I think we're going to see there, but I'm going to do that tomorrow now, because within the last couple of minutes, yes, this keeps happening to me at the moment when it comes to Impact. They're constantly doing breaking news, they're constantly announcing new things, but Impact has announced one match that is confirmed for No Surrender, and to be honest, it's no surprise considering the events of Impact on Tuesday on Access TV, but Impact Wrestling have announced that the first match announced for No Surrender is going to be for the Impact Tag Team Championships, and as you can see right there, it's going to be the Impact Tag Team Champions, the Good Brothers, Luke Gallows, or Doc Gallows rather, and Karl Anderson, defending the Impact Tag Team Championships against the AEW Tag Team of Private Party, who of course have their manager Matt Hardy, Big Money Matt, in their corner. Now, as I mentioned, this past week on Impact Wrestling on Access TV, Matt Hardy and Private Party stunned the world when Matt Hardy made his return to Impact after a 4-year absence. He brought Private Party with him. As I mentioned, he's the manager of Private Party. Got in the face of the Good Brothers, James Storm and Chris Sabin, and mentioned that he wanted to have a warm-up match against the Good Brothers. They said, look, you can't have a warm-up match against us. Why don't you face off against James Storm and Chris Sabin since they're in the ring right now? They agreed. They made it a number one contenders match for the Impact Tag Team Championship. Surreal main event. What a surreal main event, and a really enjoyable main event of just a really overall enjoyable episode of Impact this past week. So they have the match at the end of the show, and then another factor in. So you've not only have you got the Good Brothers, the Impact Tag Team Champions, who have been appearing on AEW Dynamite recently. They're going to be appearing on Dynamite next week as well, teaming up with the Young Bucks. So you have them, them that's going on. You also then have the AEW tag team of Private Party, their first ever in-ring appearance for Impact Wrestling. They're going up against Chris Sabin, TNA original, and James Storm, who just returned to the company that night, TNA original as well. Ringside, you've got the AEW president, CEO, and founder Tony Khan in person, making his in-person debut for Impact. He's taking notes. Sitting next to him is a TNA legend, former TNA X Division champion Jerry Lynn. So this match is happening, and it looks like Chris Sabin and James Storm are going to get the victory. Jerry Lynn jumps the guardrail, grabs the foot of Chris Sabin, costs them the match because then Private Party hit Gin and Juice. They get the victory, and now they're the number one contenders for the Tag Team Championship. So after that, people are saying, right, when is this match going to happen? Now, myself personally, I don't know. To be honest, I'll be totally transparent. It didn't really cross my mind as to, okay, when's this match going to happen? I assumed that it would probably happen. AEW's promoting, was it the Beach Bash, whatever they're calling it, Beach Break? I can't remember the exact terminology of it, but I thought it'd probably happen there. It'll be a cross-promotional kind of deal where, wow, look at the Impact Tag Team Champion's going to appear on this episode, but that's not the case because instead we're having a no surrender, and this is exciting. This is really exciting because I think everyone knows the ability of Private Party. Private Party are one of the most tag teams with the most potential in AEW. They do need a bit of refining and they do need a bit of fine tuning. I think that's the reason Matt Hardy's with them, frankly, because Matt Hardy, whilst he is at the latter stages of his career at this point, whilst he's at the stage where he's not what he once was in terms of his ability in the ring and all that kind of stuff, he still is Matt Hardy. He still does have that star power, he still does have that ability to draw, and he also has that ability on the microphone. Is there a better character performer than Matt Hardy? I mean, he's one of the best. That's why he's had so many iterations, so many personalities, so many characters over the years, because he's just that good on the microphone. And I think we've seen on Dynamite, I remember that promo that Private Party did opposite Chris Jericho, and not to disrespect them, but it was awful. I mean, it was painful to watch. And I think once people saw that, they realized, okay, that's why Matt Hardy's with Private Party. And now that Matt Hardy's embracing this big money Matt character again, and he's scalping the money from Private Party, he's taking the most money from their contracts. He's almost acting like this big time promoter that is this big carny. That's why Tony Khan invited him to Impact. I think he's just, it's night and day. It's the best work he's done in AEW so far, in my opinion. What is interesting though, when it comes to this, of course, is that last night Private Party and Matt Hardy competed on Dynamite, but Private Party pretty much last night cemented that they were heels now. You had Isaiah Cassidy hit their opponent with a chair. Mark Quinn then does the shooting star press. So in addition to Matt Hardy obviously being a heel now, Private Party are a heel. And it makes you wonder in this match, how is that going to play out? Because of course, the Good Brothers recently, they turned heel in Impact Wrestling once they aligned themselves with the AEW World Champion Kenny Omega. So Gallows and Anderson are heels now. But now you've got Private Party, what was previously a babyface tag team. They're a heel now. They're a heel tag team, and you wonder, is this going to be a situation where it's heel versus heel, or are the Good Brothers, because they're representing Impact Wrestling against an AEW team inside of an Impact Wrestling ring, are they for that match the baby faces? And I don't know, because I don't think that would make sense for them to act like baby faces. I think the Good Brothers are far better as heels in that role, so it's certainly going to be interesting. I think in terms of the heel versus heel dynamic, it's almost going to be a case of, look, we know they're both bad guys in terms of the pro wrestling, well, we're bad guys, we're heels, but the Good Brothers, it's the same one like they were like in New Japan. When they were in New Japan, they were heels, but they were so cool heels that they were kind of baby faces, but still heels. It's the Chris Jericho effect. Chris Jericho, when he was in AEW, the whole time he's been a heel. But because he's come across as so cool sometimes, not in the last couple of months with some of his political views, nevertheless, he's kind of been a babyface. And I think that might be the case here with the Good Brothers, that they're so over the top and they're so cool as the member of the Bullet Club, that kind of heelish kind of vibe to them, that they kind of become the babyfaces. I don't know. In the grand scheme of things, does it really matter? I don't think so. I think what really matters is it's a massive attraction. It's a match that's going to get people really excited. Certainly, if you don't have Impact Plus already, it's reason to subscribe and sign up to it, which of course Impact wants. For Private Party, I think it's very exciting as well, because it puts them in an opportunity to really stand in the spotlight. And I think that's the thing with Private Party is, this was one of the things I was most excited about when we first started having this AEW and Impact Wrestling crossover, was the potential of the younger teams, of the younger talent to come over to Impact and really stand out. we've mentioned it before here, that one of the biggest problems when it comes to AEW, apart from the women's division, one of the biggest problems when it comes to AEW is that it's got such a big roster, and the depth of talent is so deep on the roster. The issue with that is that they've only got 2 hours on TNT every week. And it's difficult just by logistically, to fit people on that show every week. Private Party, are they on the show every single week? No. Do they need to be? I mean, probably not, but if they want to improve, they need to continuously work and they need to continuously be in the spotlight. That's how they develop as talents, but that's also how they develop their reputation, the awareness that the audience has with them. So by coming over to Impact, even if it's on loan, even if they're still appearing for AEW at the same time, it does allow them to expand their characters. It does allow them to put them in more difficult positions that they can succeed and thrive in. It does allow them to expand their characters, get a better feel of their characters, work in different environments, work against different opponents, work against opponents like the Good Brothers, who are some of the most experienced tag team wrestlers out there today. I mean, they really have been there and seen there and done it all in terms of pro wrestling, whether it's, wrestling in the Tokyo Dome for New Japan, or wrestling in Madison Square Garden for WWE, now in Impact, with AEW as well. Go back to Gallows, he was with Impact back in the day as well. So they've really... if you're Private Party, what a tag team to learn from. What a tag team to have a couple of matches against and just improve your game, get some pointers. So I think that's really exciting as well. From a talent development point of view, I think that's very exciting for Private Party. So do I expect Private Party to win the match? I don't think so. I don't think Private Party are going to become the Impact Tag Team Champions. If they do, then, man, the lines between AEW and Impact Wrestling are way more blurred than we even thought possible. At the moment, they're pretty blurred anyway. As Matt Hardy said on Impact this past week, the borders between AEW and Impact are well and truly open. I mean, both companies are very much open for business, and I really do hope we see more of this crossover. Because it's what made Impact great on Tuesday. In addition to the other stuff that was going on, it certainly was a noteworthy show and a newsworthy show, and got a lot of people talking. And we're going to talk about the ratings tomorrow as well, because they've come out today. So I'm really excited for it. I don't think Private Party will win. I think they'll have an excellent match, but we might see more shenanigans. I mean, I say I don't think Private Party will win, but this is the team that got the victory on Impact on Tuesday because of Jerry Lynn and Tony Khan being at ringside. Who's to say they won't do the same thing again? So that is a possibility, and we know that Tony Khan has an issue with the Good Brothers because they're aligned with Kenny Omega and Don Callis, and Tony Khan feels like Don Callis and Kenny Omega have taken advantage of him, and they've tried to use their carny ways on him and infiltrate AEW, steal the AEW World Champion, steal the AEW World Championship. Who's to say Tony Khan doesn't try and get involved and try and one-up Impact Wrestling and the Good Brothers by having Private Party win the Impact Tag Team Championships? That's a possibility as well. I would assume when it comes to No Surrender, this is something that's probably been filmed already. We know the Impact Wrestling post-Hard to Kill tapings took place this week. They took place over the course of a couple of days. Given that this is on February 13, when this will air, and it's today, January 21st, that's what, 4 weeks away? So I would assume that if they filmed 4, 5, 6 weeks, maybe even longer than that, worth of content over the course of the couple of days they did the TV tapings this week, I would assume that this has already been filmed. This is why they've got Matt Hardy and Private Party there, because they were there at the tapings. But the important thing with that is that if they filmed all of this over the course of a couple of days this past week, then that means Tony Khan and Jerry Lynn were there as well. So when we were speaking about Tony Khan yesterday, in that he's probably going to have a large presence on Impact TV in person over the course of the next few weeks, he probably, if I'm speculating here, I'm trying to predict what's going to happen, he probably also is going to have a large factor as to what's going to happen in this match. He probably will be involved in this match too. So No Surrender at the moment really, to me, is shaping up to be a really exciting event, I think. When it comes to these Impact Plus events, they're always pretty good. Sometimes the cards can leave a lot to be desired when it comes to it. I think Genesis a couple of weeks ago I actually thought was very good. I think the issue was that I'm not sure how many people would have watched it because there wasn't tons announced. You had the Knockouts match between Jazz and Jordan Grace. You had the Super X Cup tournament, which was excellent. And you also had the main event between Willie Mack and Moose. It was a fantastic show, but I just don't know if people would have been interested in watching it because they might have seen that card and go, you know what, not for me. I think back to Turning Point and Final Resolution towards the end of last year. I thought they were both very good. But the way that this card is shaping up, No Surrender now, obviously I know we've just got one match announced, but looking at the lay of the land here, I think it's likely we could get Moose versus Rich Swann at No Surrender as well. And then even if you've got 2 main event matches of the Good Brothers versus Private Party with Matt Hardy in their corner for the Impact Tag Team Championship, and you've got Rich Swann versus Moose possible unification match for the Impact and TNA World Heavyweight Championship, that's a pretty loaded event for an Impact Plus event. That's probably one of the bigger Impact Plus cards we would have seen in a while. So that's very, very exciting. So big announcement, Good Brothers versus Private Party announced for No Surrender. No Surrender announced for for February 13 as well. So very exciting, very exciting. And I'm sure we'll hear more about it in the coming days. But of course, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on No Surrender being announced for February 13 and the Good Brothers facing off against Private Party for the Impact Tag Team Championships at the event? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about Impact Wrestling, AEW, WWE, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So be sure to get involved in the community. Drop a comment below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video too, please do smash a like on the like button. It really does help us out here on YouTube. Go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.